Ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bá jó, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bá jó, olúwa mi ò dìde ojó ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀.
Happy Friday and welcome to Theoryforge Chronicles. I am Phantom X, of course, joined by legendary Notoxin and Diggs, and we are here to talk about settlement domains, so settling in. We finally have some movement, some things being selected, the big stuff, and hopefully we'll get the smaller stuff soon, which we'll talk a little bit about that too. But how's everyone doing?
Doing great. Just got the U-Gears Dungeon Master stuff. It was the one of the last sets they did. Dice set, dice tower, card holders. It's pretty cool. Might do some creative streams building them up, but that's other business. And I've been really excited to see how DSS has been going here. And obviously there's the hiccup that will... Yeah, I kind of want to just talk about that first.
Hey, go right ahead.
Because it's the... I don't want to say the elephant in the room, but it was one of those, like, we hope and we dream and we wish that, you know, everything's going to go off without a hitch and, you know, they're going to knock it out. And the results of what's going on, I have no problem with, but... the execution, unfortunately, as often happens, there's been a little bit of an issue, and the week 2 selection phase was pushed back by a week so they could refine the web tools and all the other stuff on their side. And I'm fine with that. I'd rather they be honest about that and say, look, we thought it was going to be ready. It's not. Like we weren't as ready as we thought. So we're going to take a week to make sure it's ready rather than give you a half-assed, crappy, broken product and then like everybody will be unhappy. So that's fine. 1 week pause. I'm fine. I would actually be fine if the entire process they did, 1 week and then pause week and then 1 week and then pause week, just so on their end they can make sure that the tech's going to be all ready to go. But that's, it happens. I'm not saying that they're knocking this one out of the park. I'm also not saying that they're twisting their ankle and stumbling and falling face first in gravel. Like they're getting through it. Things are being done that need to be done. They're being done in the order that they need to be done. Though I gotta say, the whole kingdom changed. The guy giving up his kingdom's like, wow.
Yeah, there's been a lot. Yeah, I mean, already, and you're just again kind of the broad brushstrokes so far, right? The smaller stuff, I think, with the anticipation will come later with all the fighting. But yeah, the whole, the sense I got from reading the post, the original post saying they were delaying it, of course. It's sort of split, right? You have half of them, or probably more than half, but quite a lot of them were sort of, it's fine, we're, just give us something good. And then the other folks are kind of split between people who I think are just always grumpy and always looking for something to complain about. Probably would have wrote the same sort of reply if it was delayed 30 minutes as if it was a week. But then there were some that I think kind of made some sense about, well, it's not so much that you have to delay it. We're fine with that. It's more the telling us about it.
Last minute.
Yeah, I think that was sort of a legitimate sort of comment.
And when was it that we found out? The day of or the day before?
Let me see if I've got that post handy.
It's pretty sure it's the day before, correct? I
I
think they said Friday because it was on a Sunday, I think.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because I think on Friday there was sort of talk, hey, we're trying, we're really trying. There's a chance this won't happen. We'll let you know. And I think everybody was sort of, well, we just wish you would tell us, which I'm sure part of that is they just don't know. I mean, they're kind of doing stuff, in many ways, this is a brand new way to go about creating a game. So, I mean, part of it they probably can't really even plan for because nobody's really done it before. But I think that was sort of a legitimate argument. Now, some of that was saying, well, this was sort of also, you've done this before, waiting till the last minute to tell us. And I honestly don't know anything about that, but
Yeah, Huldress says it was less than 24 hours before selection.
yeah.
And I think, what Caspian had said is, we don't want to have to tell you this, or we don't have to make this decision. So I think some of it was just really not wanting to, and then realizing, shit, we're going to have to. So,
Well, and it's sort of a product of their own making, right? It's the one big thing everybody's been waiting for too. So it's not like this was some little minor patch coming to a game that's getting delayed for a little bit, right? This is a community that I think it's fair to say has felt kind of, I guess, fractured, not as much to going on lately. Like probably more goers than comers. So everyone was kind of ready for this to bring everything back, and then
well, it's a small studio.
yeah.
It's common for them to push things back, or for whatever they're working on to have glitches. How big the glitches are might vary, but I think a lot of it was just people are saying, come on, it's like, it's always, this is just another case we're waiting for you to give us something that doesn't get delayed or doesn't have so much of a glitch. But I think a week delay is fine. I mean, am I going to care if it comes out and it's fun to play? I'm not going to care that domain selection for the Dukes got delayed by a week.
Yeah, I mean, I have no grievance. It's fine with me. I mean, if you waited 2+ years to do that, I mean, I wait another 2 months if I have to. But I'm pretty passive when it comes to that. But I just thought that was sort of a legitimate kind of argument versus the people that just like to complain about everything. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised there's going to be people who complain, but
probably was not helped by having to switch to, what did you call it, pen and paper style picking. Probably not helped by that, but
oh, has this shaken the community's faith or your faith? It hasn't shaken my faith. And I have not been paying too much attention to the community as a whole. I think there was a lot of griping on the forums when the announcement first hit. But I don't know. Have you guys been following that this past week?
I haven't necessarily been following the community response at large, because it's one of those things where we're going to hear the vocal minority. We're not going to hear from each and every person and what everybody actually feels, either right now or when they finally actually do read about this stuff and become aware of what's been going on. I really don't think that the if they're successful and, game launches and stuff, that it's really going to matter down the road how things are going right now, and that it's not going to negatively impact things. Like, we can look back and compare it to other things. Is it an event where they're, essentially selling loot boxes? Oops, whoops. No, it's not that. Is it something where you have to log in every day and push a bunch of buttons and hope that a certain meter fills up a certain way? No. I mean, those are weird and interesting in their own ways, but this is the actual meat right here. We've generated the maps. We've made, let you vote on which maps you want. Now, the people who have, voted with their wallets essentially to determine who's going to be what and in what order, they're going to start selecting where the kingdoms of Illyria sort and allotment of, you know, peoples and influences is going to be, where people are actually more concentrated, less concentrated, you know, what people are actually going to be focusing on and stuff. And all of this stuff, again, to me, it's really funny because this isn't even launch. All of this is building up to the Kingdoms event. Once Kingdoms is finally done, then we're looking at launch, and there's going to be a little downtime between the end of that and the beginning of gameplay. So it's just really, really interesting and funny to me that, you know, all of this stuff isn't actually tied to day one so much as the events leading up to day one.
And I guess if I really think about it, it's not lessening whatever faith I have, but it's not increasing my faith that it won't be overly complicated, and I'm not too sure that it's going to be fun. Like, is pen and paper the fun way to go about doing things? I don't know. So yeah, where I'm the person saying, yeah, I think it feels overly complicated, and even this is so overly complicated, we've got to step back and make some drastic changes. I'm expecting that might be the case playing the game, just in general, not even just launch, but just generally playing the game. And it seems that's probably been my response to every event I've participated in, is like, what the fuck is this? Why is it going on like this? And it's not particularly fun, but okay.
Yeah, for me, I've done a lot of Kickstarters, so I have a realistic expectation of not just products being delivered, but the time frame that you're given. I've been relatively lucky. I only think I have one that was ever canceled, and that they actually refunded the money. But anyways, that, and we've kind of been through the whole process of EverQuest Next and Revival, so we're sort of, I think we're all as collectively sort of used to the idea. I don't think, you know, the core community, I don't think it's going to change, you know, for two reasons. One is most of that core group is heavily financially invested. So while they might complain, they will probably fight tooth and nail, sit as long as, you know, until the bar closes to try to get something out of the money they've spent. So I don't think this will change that. I also think that Soulbound could come out tomorrow and show a nice big shiny new thing, and all of a sudden people would just sort of really forget a little, you know, at least some of the anger that they experienced. So, I mean, it's just, you know, ebb and flow. It comes and goes. I will say the one thing that I think would be really problematic is if they get to that week-long period, they wait and they say it's going to be another week. That I think could turn into a bigger issue of just, you know, well, you know, at least give us something realistic, not what you want to do by, you know, maybe you really want to be ready in a week. If it's probably going to take you longer, you should probably tell us. You know, we're going to take a month, and then maybe you overestimate, and everybody's all, you know, gets really pissed for a few days. Oh, it's going to be an extra month, and then all of a sudden you release it actually 2 weeks early, and people are super excited and have a lot more faith in you. I think that would be a better strategy. But hopefully they, you know, have a realistic estimate, and in a month or the week's up and it's set to go. I guess we'll find out. When does it start? The 3rd. Monday. So I guess we'll find out Sunday night.
Kaelin and Holdress have been saying that Caspian's been a little snarky, and that hasn't helped things.
He's always been that way, though, right?
That was my response.
Yeah, I mean,
that's kind of.
You can't take that personal. I mean, the man's put his life and fortune into trying to create his dream. I mean, it's not the most ideal probably PR, but you know, he's invested. He's highly invested. So, you know, it's like anyone that has a kid. Somebody comes up and says your kid's ugly, you're going to get a little offended by that. So
I wouldn't if my kid were really ugly, but you know,
that's a whole nother issue if you actually think your kid's ugly. So
some kids are ugly. I mean,
Never your own.
Okay.
So, I think they're just fine. As long as they Monday actually are able to start the process, I don't think anybody will care. Mm-hmm. Then we'll just have to see how well it actually goes. You know, there's getting to actually starting the process, and there's actually seeing if the process works like it's supposed to. So that will be the next step, since we didn't get to see that with, you know, actual kingdom selection, since it was all pen and paper.
I do like the way the maps look.
Do what now?
Oh, I was just gonna say that the pen and paper for the kingdom selection, it was small enough. There aren't a lot of kingdoms that you're sorting out. So if it was a matter of trying to work out the stuff that they were hoping to have ready this week, while you know, just doing the kingdom selection manually, you know, I can understand why they did that. It's not a lot of people we're dealing with here. The next phase, the next two phases, are going to be a lot more people to deal with, and I believe a lot more granularity that people are going to want to and, you know, need to be able to see. So with that in mind, yeah, it's you know, I'm really glad they are actually, you know, taking the time to make sure that it gets done right rather than being rushed.
That has me thinking for some reason about, I think we were talking about where Ashland got placed, and I'm wondering, farming might be an issue there, but I wonder, didn't Polite say that he wanted to have a zoo? I wonder how well a zoo is going to go there.
I mean, and that's, so I guess we can start talking a little bit. So yeah, they're what, Kingdom 2, so Rocky Mountain Steppe and Lower Montaigne. So I was curious, I Googled, and I think I mentioned, interestingly enough, if you Google Rocky Mountain Steppe, the first 3 pictures that come up are actually from Illyria, but or maybe it's just learned my search patterns. I don't know. But yeah, I look at that picture, and I'll link I can put the link here. I'm thinking, how in the hell am I supposed to grow anything in this?
Kalen says that 2 big events are being done: water simulation, which should be done by now, and then rendering, which is 12 hours as well. So,
well,
nice.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know. That was not me complaining about, obviously, about Soulbound. That was more, I guess, about the people who selected where I will be apparently staying, at least for a little while.
yeah.
Because I'm not sure how I'm supposed to. What was your answer? Just truck just amend the soil. I cannot imagine that.
I mean, I'm sorry. Wasn't it you just a couple of weeks ago that was saying dirt's dirt? Like,
it is.
Plants will grow in 90% of, you know, whatever. Just throw it in.
It is.
So what's the problem?
They're not going to grow in the desert, and not going to. How am I going to run a farm on a mountainside?
You find the plants that grow naturally there, and you plant rows of them.
And how are you going to get them water? Everything runs downhill.
It's high enough altitude that it's getting moisture from the atmosphere. Hey.
Yeah. Nope, but we'll figure it out. It's fine. You know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. It might be the sort of thing where trees that produce fruit regularly is going to be the better way to go than trying to make smaller crops happen.
I don't know. It annoys me, but part of it is because I feel like that is going to be the answer that we're given is, well, you can just amend the soil. I mean, this thing is going to be it's just going to be so complex and I just don't think it needs to be.
I'll say this: the orange tree that's been in my backyard since I think before I was born, the soil was amended once. That tree's still there. It's still producing fruit. Still hanging in there. Throwing a little bit of fertilizer here and there has definitely helped it out and making sure it's watered and not overwatered. But it's, you know, for some things, if you're not going to be replacing the soil frequently with, you know, again, something like a tree, you're only going to need to treat the soil a little bit here and there. Otherwise, you just need to replace the clay with something the roots can spread out in once, and then you're kind of good to go.
We'll see. It is just not ideal in any way for what I want to do. But I guess I'll just find a spot that has a lot of trees and it's flat, and I'll cut down all the damn trees. Then I can sell it for timber. There you go. That'll work. Yeah, so the selection, so y'all, it's been a long week for me. So we've had some very interesting early things come up. What was it all on one which server was, so the first king to abdicate, what was?
That was on Selene, and then that was where the queen handed over their title to one of their vassals who someone in chat was saying that they're related or something, so it's no big deal, but I have no idea what, you know, if that's true or not. Someone in this chat might know, but yeah, there was a couple of interesting things, and then the thing that we'd kind of been talking about amongst ourselves was the idea that one person going from all of the resources and influence of a kingdom to having that same amount of resource and influence concentrated into their double duchy, they're going to be so well resourced and powerful, it's going to be hard for them not to be able to, you know, grow and influence and take over the area during the kingdom's process. I don't know if that's how it's going to go or not, but that's what I would imagine their plan is, you know, trying to get the place they want by getting the double duchy closest to the place where royalty is going to be at, and then kind of moving in as quickly as they can.
So Caspian says that any duke in Nerith will have a chance to purchase the monarch title a la carte in the reverse auction post DNSS event beginning in June, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
Purchase.
Yeah, that's. I don't know.
Well, the value of a double duchy is what the kingdom purchase was converted to, so technically the purchase of a kingdom is up for grabs again.
So before we get into your thing, Diggs, no, that was an interesting theory that because they are less, he or she would be much less restricted, right? They can kind of place their double duchy in whatever kingdom will accept them.
Because they got the highest influence, so right, they can put it wherever.
So they could theoretically join. They can take over. It's a sort of under the radar way to get what you want. Could be very interesting very early on as far as overthrowing.
Wherever they're going to put themselves down, I believe, is where the battleground is going to be out on the server.
So that would kind of be my question about community faith is, as Huldress says, he's after this event, he's not planning to donate any more money until he gets something in his hands. Are people going to be willing to spend that? I guess somebody's going to be willing to spend that kind of money, but that sounds kind of crazy to me.
I think there'll be some people. Oh, for the monarchy?
Yeah.
Or just in general.
I mean, for the monarchy, because that's pretty expensive.
I assume somebody will want to. That's probably the way to go.
It could be a bunch of people chipping for one person to get it too.
I wish it wasn't being kind of put up to be sold. I wish it would just fit right back into the whole idea of the community and fighting for it. To me, I understand on one hand they probably could use the extra money, although I don't know. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I guess I don't even know what the difference is between a duchy and an actual kingdom. I assume it's a few $1,000s, but What was the kingdoms? Is it 10,000? I'm trying to remember what the Kickstarter cost was. But anyways, I think it was 10,000. So in the grand scheme of things, probably another $5,000 or whatever is not going to be a big deal. So I don't know what a day's operating budget is, but I don't imagine that going. Yeah, so it's $5,000 difference. I wish they would have just left it open warfare, right? That this is how we're going to start. Mm-hmm. This is how we're going to start out. You have no central leader right now. You're going to go through the whole the whole beginning stages of setting up without a leader, and then once we get to you're kind of free for all, ready to go. It'd be a really fun way to start off.
Mm-hmm.
So, but money's money, I guess. I just think you could have a lot more fun. I think it'd be more compelling. I think you'd have a lot more interest if you started your game out that way, right? Because conceivably there'll be streamers and some sort of way to try to get people interested that are not currently interested. And I think in the grand scheme of things, a lot of the early stages of this game when we start playing will probably, quite frankly, be kind of boring. It's going to be a lot of building up resources, a lot of learning very simple things, right? There'll probably be some minor skirmishes here or there, but it's not going to be like there's a ready-made raid that somebody's going to, in 2 weeks, be high enough level to go do.
I'm not interested in raiding anyway, so I think I'll be more excited by the early stuff.
Yes, you would not be. I understand that. But just as far as trying to bring in more players and things like that, I feel like that if you started off with an empty kingdom, it would have been a very, very interesting way to start your game's life.
And I Am Medusa says, it's okay, Phantom X, we get to build our farms up.
I am going to have to build it up because it's on a damn mountain slope.
Building it up, or are you building it down?
I'm not building it wherever you can get water to it regularly.
Yeah, I am in Ashland. I'll just try to get the ball. I'll just try to get it at goalies somewhere and go from there. Otherwise, I'm going to have to learn woodworking first so I can build damn towers to plan on. Water running from there.
The Kickstarter, by the way, it was $3,500 for the Duke Duchess, and then $10,000 for King Queen. $5,000 was if you wanted to design a creature or a martial arts style, which three people bit.
Yeah, I mean,
we're going to have 1 to 3 freaky creatures or martial arts styles.
Somebody will buy it, I'm sure, but. I just still feel like it would have been a much better way to start off your game's life for the community, for people to see.
Yeah, I think Zog was saying that too, that he didn't see what the point was to push so hard for all the titles to be filled after DSS. Like, why should all the players have titles?
Yeah.
Why should all the titles be filled by players?
Yeah.
I would like to see NPCs actually in leadership positions. I kind of like the idea that it's not all done by players, especially if they're going to be more alert and aware than a player that doesn't get to log in that frequently and make too many decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a kingdom turned into a double duchy, and then what was the other? It was on the same server, correct?
The Queen?
Yes. That. What was the actual circumstance? Did she abdicate? Like, transfer?
Gave it to one of her vassals. Yeah.
Okay. So that is not a free, no one owns it position. That was just basically transferred to someone else.
Right.
It's interesting. How many of your followers are happy with that decision? I wish I was in that Discord. Is it something that was talked about beforehand or not?
Yeah, no idea. I've heard about it, but I haven't researched it.
So, that was just both of those were very interesting. You spend so much money, so much time, and it comes time to start to fulfill your role, and you're like, I'm out. See you. Okay. I mean, I've all along said I'm going to be a terrible count, so it's not like I'm going to, been saying I'm going to be great, and then we get to the time and I just, suddenly slide away. I've already told you that I'm going to be terrible, so don't. So,
yeah, it'll be what it is. It might be harder for you to get rid of that count title than you expect it to be.
Well, I don't have to get rid of it. I mean, that's fine. I'll be a count until someone decides to remove it from me.
And if nobody does,
Well,
then you just be the count.
Oh, Dragor melted his kingdom, Kirath. Tigger transferred monarchy. Oh, those are the names of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Aranor took the lead in the IP, offset Ashland to K2. Josset Valyria to K3. Huh.
so what else do we have to talk about?
Switched out the frothy biomes with another one? Huh? Oh, an ocean. Huh.
Yeah, I know Zog was saying something about the split of tribes and that most people went to a few underrepresented. Some of the tribes are underrepresented as far as leadership goes.
It was, Nirath, not the kingdom Kirath. It was Nirath is the kingdom that Dragor melted.
It's interesting how that works, Diggs. Like you can kind of see it in a real world situation, right? But for a game that really all we know is background lore given by the people creating it, that you can still have this division.
Mm-hmm.
Really, before you've had any experience to try it yourself.
I think that's kind of the problem, though, is because
yeah,
we don't really know what the tribes are like. I mean, they aren't familiar tribes. Like if it was more dwarf, elf, drow, we might be seeing more people take drow than Kaipik or something like that.
Which leads to issues, right? Because that's I don't believe Sog will be with us now, or with me, I should say. And he would be limited in what he is able to play. So he has his mind set on a certain route, and because of the way things are set up, he feels that he cannot accomplish his goals within our kingdom. So unfortunate that.
Happens.
Well, I think that's, again, the fascinating thing that we're still all trying to figure out is all of us have, well, not all of us, almost all of us have these expectations, like these ideas of how we would like to play and what we would like to do. And then, again, like that zoo that Polite was talking about, is Polite still going to be able to do that in the kingdom?
I don't see why not.
He'll be better able to build a zoo than I will a farm.
Maybe. Goats. A goat farm. A goat zoo.
Goat
zoo. Yoga. I don't know.
Not goat yoga. Come on. No.
I actually have a college friend from Tennessee who has participated in goat yoga. I was surprised.
One of my good friends owns the Nashville goat yoga, so I've done it many times. It's actually quite fun. That is a very interesting idea to bring into this world. So there you go, Neuro. That's what I'll do.
Okay, goat yoga farm. You got it.
The count of goat yoga.
Brass would approve. As a IRL goat farmer.
So going forward, assuming Monday comes, I am really curious to see, now that people have a better idea of where they're going to be, as you start breaking it down into smaller groups, how much infighting there actually is going to end up being. I really should probably join some of these Discord channels just to. I hate Discord, but.
So, on the map, do you have a numbered region that you think?
I don't care.
Huh.
I mean, it's all until I have a detailed map. I mean, theoretically, it should all be the same, right? There will be micro differences, sure. I mean, there'll be areas that are more flat. There'll be areas that will probably be more ideal. But I mean, in what I have to look at right now, it's all theoretically the same thing. So.
Yeah, this is really only telling us pixels, parcels, and.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't really have at this point an idea. Ideally, it would be in an area, as was said in chat, where water runs down, so you have a stream or something that you can kind of control water flow through. It just hopefully, I'm sure there will be. Was it something else? The size is actually quite large. I forget where I read this, or I don't think it was either of you had mentioned that one of these, what looks like a tiny pixel, as you expand it up, could fit the city of Los Angeles into it. Just the size and the scope. So I'm sure I'll find somewhere to be able to do that.
I think Snipe was asking about that. Has anybody considered how large Illyria really is? And I was like, I don't really care. But, but a pixel being the size of Los Angeles, and I'm seeing some regions have 7,000 pixels and some have 15,000 pixels.
It was that a small valley on the map was the size of Los Angeles, not 1 pixel.
Oh, okay.
Still, it was the idea being that it's a much larger world than what people will kind of even think they know. It's actually larger than what they think. So, I mean, I have hopefully no. I mean, I'll make do with whatever. It's fine. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'm not going to be one of these that are throwing tantrums on Discord because I didn't get something I wanted.
Well, you have a show where you can throw the tantrum.
I'll make it. I don't throw tantrums. I'll make it work, and then I will sabotage whoever took what I want. So, win-win.
Okay.
Anyways. So for you two, the way things have fallen out, is there? I mean, so again, I assume both of you will still be in Ashland. I
mean, I'm gonna be wherever I can be resourced, and otherwise just be traveling to approximately anywhere and everywhere. Gonna be doing a lot more just on the road and taking notes and looking at maps and exploring and all that sort of fun stuff, rather than trying to deal with the politics of one specific area or another, and trying to take residence in one.
Yeah, I was just curious if there was any disappointment, surprise, anything like that. So I guess for you, Nora, that won't really matter.
No, that's I've been sitting back and laughing and appreciating the fact that I feel like I made the right decision for the way I intend to play the game. If fine. Not this, then the other one would be crafting. Seems like a lot of fun. I might run an alt that I do that with.
And Diggs is an explorer too, so I assume you don't really care where the kingdom lines fit too much. Diggs.
Yeah, that's the expectation. I am going to be aware when I'm playing with our group in Sanctifandry. And I have a physician's kit. I think I'm not going to use that on my main character. But I think with that physician's kit, I'll probably be roaming around. I won't just be in one location, but we'll have to see.
So someone is going to burn down my farm. That's fine. That's fine. Go
I
ahead.
think according to the comments and YouTube, they'll be coming after me before they go after you. But
They all do basically say you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But why does Diggs even have interest in this game? That's fine. I'll just I'm just going to steal from my county, so it's okay. I'll build it up pretty quick. Sell some land kind of under the table if I'm able to do that. Not have to worry about the kingdom. I'm going to be terrible at this game. We've talked about, I don't know why, I just feel like, I've always played in all MMOs that I've ever played. EverQuest was a Wood Elf Druid. EverQuest 2 was also a Wood Elf. World of Warcraft was Alliance. I've always sort of played the good side in almost every MMO that I've played.
Alliance is not the good side in World of Warcraft.
You know what I mean? What is
I
supposed
agree.
to be the whatever you want. You're right. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole with you. Anyways, so really for this and our other show, the idea of being able to have the freedom to kind of to go both ways would be interesting. I don't know. We'll see how things go. There was something else that I was thinking of that I cannot remember what I was going to talk about now. One of the things that was interesting is, and part of the reason I think Sog would have still joined if he could, as mayor, have still chosen the race he wanted to be, and been had his tavern. I did think that was sort of interesting. I can understand that it's separated by areas now, but the limiting. Like, I wonder if it will always be that way, or if as servers progress, will there be this sort of intermingling of different groups to where it's no longer a certain region. It's more maybe predominantly still the way it was at the beginning, but is it always going to be limited to where if you want some sort of leadership role, you have to be, the starting race. You will never be able to come in from the outside and be a mayor. I don't know if that's ever been talked about.
Unless you're not allowed to transfer the mayorship to somebody else without any sort of election, I don't see why he can't just make the character that he wants somewhere else. Where he can make the character. Take the trek to go to where his little settlement is at, and then transfer ownership so he can be the race that he wants in the place that he wants. And honestly, I think that would be even better, because then you've got the implications of like, what the hell? Why is there this one of these running my shop, or running this place in the middle of here? How the hell did this happen? I actually think that would be pretty interesting.
I Am Magician says tribes will migrate and mayors are voted in, so majority
mayors voted in. Yeah.
But yeah, I would think tribes will migrate, especially if you're conquering territory. Then if you're bringing in tribes, if you're bringing in masses of other tribes, that should affect the population. It seems like.
Because I could understand at the beginning, we're discovering a new world, that there would be, you're not going to start off with an entire community welcoming an outsider in to be their ruler of any sort. But, over time, hopefully that does change. Because he said he was actually, he just could not, even if he wanted to at the beginning, there would just be no way, like Soulbound would limit that to where you can't. So I guess that was my question later. Will that artificial limitation be lifted? I understand they'll travel and things, but will there become a point where they change the code or whatever it is that they have in place to allow those sorts of changes to occur?
I think it'll probably be between the end of Kingdoms and where people have kind of settled and ended up there. Will be what influences where people are able to start when the official game starts day one. So it'll probably be a little more locked down during the start of the kingdoms period, which is unfortunately the period in question here. But yeah, once things have settled a bit, I have a feeling that you'll have a lot more options based on who ended up going where, and to what extent. Either through, just general migration, or through military conquest and, territorial expansion, etc. Or alliances. That's something that hasn't really even been talked about as like a formal alliance system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's supposed to be a sandbox, so.
Right.
If I want to risk going somewhere I'm not supposed to, then I should be able to do that.
Well, take the risk in any case. Whether or not you'll succeed or survive is another question, but you can try.
No, I'm not going to be confrontational. I'm just going to steal everything I can so that when I inevitably am removed, I will still have my wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to have any kind of I should know this, but this week's been terrible. Like any kind of formal trials, or is that all just going to be king, queen ran? Like someone says, you stole from us, and then they can actually somehow change my account to where things are locked until I go through some sort of process.
I feel like that one's still an ongoing conversation, that they still haven't fully settled on what prison punishment, etc., is actually going to be, and rightly so. It's a very touchy subject, and there's a lot of ways to go, and it's probably something that it's probably one of those things that, up to the day of launch, we won't know, but we'll probably have some different tests of different systems in kingdoms, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Either server by server or region by region, or the leadership gets to choose, what the rules are, and, which ones ended up feeling the fairest to the people in that area and having the, kind of most fair results would determine, what system gets used in a broader sense. But I don't know.
Very much affect whether or not I stream this game. We have video proof. Ah, damn.
Holder says the maps aren't sorted yet. What makes you think the justice system is sorted?
It's amazing how much data they are using for this. I guess I never would have guessed the detail. It's nuts. Like, even just to stream it, over the internet to us, to be able to look at and browse, like how much data is that going to end up using?
Oh, that's why we just go with Prelario.
It's crazy. And didn't they also mention, this was kind of curious to me too, part of the delay, there was a mention of, I guess it was DDoS attacks or something. I don't think they really did mention specifics, which I found very interesting, why anyone would want to spend the time and resources to do that for this.
Because they can.
So the thing for me that's a little bit funny about it too is getting these broad strokes about what the kind of resource distributions will be. It's really broad strokes. It doesn't talk about any of the specificity of anything. It is just like how much game, how much wood, not what types of wood, not what types of clay and animals and that sort of stuff. Just how much raw values, and then it it goes more incrementally, unit by unit, to determine how much of what is actually where, based on biome and elevation, all that sort of cool stuff. One of the fun things, though, and I asked Snipe about this directly, was the idea of waste and trash, and how finite resources are. And it basically came down to with all things in the game, you have the option of recycling or composting. If it's like foodstuffs that's gone bad, essentially you're returning it to the earth one way or the other, you're composting it. If it's tools and equipment that have gotten damaged, too worn to use anymore, etc., then it goes more towards like recycling or disassembling and scavenging. And that's something that's really exciting to me too, is the idea that for the long-term success of the game, to be able to see everybody be well resourced throughout the entire lifetime of the game, it will be important to have people who are really good at scavenging and really good at breaking down things that have broken or gone bad, and either being able to repair them or being able to strip them to the rawest of resources so they can be reused to the best extent possible. And I believe that will end up becoming a profession of its own. I jokingly say the trash man, but really it's the people who are going to be involved with recovering resources from failed projects rather than attempting to accumulate new resources. And for the overall longevity of the game in each individual area, I think that's going to be really important to focus on.
Yeah. I mean, you could 100% create a composting business. I mean, if it's going to be as detailed as they say it will, you could 100% do that. Which would kind of be interesting. You could do it on the side. It could be part of a farm. Still just so many could be able to, probably can. Getting not really restless. I'm just kind of, so I think I'm kind of like not going to be the person again that gets upset and angry and rage posts, but I'm kind of over it. I'm ready.
Yeah, it would be nice to get our hands on something, to be able to play something or even see more. We haven't. How much gameplay have we seen?
We've seen little bits here and there, some screenshots. I think they gave us a little bit of live gameplay, if I'm not mistaken. I'm thinking the reason why they're not showing us what's going on is less about them not having anything and a lot more about them wanting to wait till they put the stuff forward. It's been well tested. It's been, put through the rounds and everything. It's ready for us to actually see and actually experience. And the amount of impact of being able to see and play something that's more complete will probably do a lot better for them. Not just with instilling, continued faith in the community, but being able to have that first blast that media gets a hold of being something that everybody's really excited about and will ultimately be able to, I hate to say this, but it's the truth of things, be able to give them a chance to get more investors and more funding so they'll be able to, finish the rest of it up and get it going.
So that kind of you just mentioned investors and get it going. There's a question about how much backlash will game news media give the studio from this. Honestly, I don't know that anybody will really care. It's not necessarily a mainstream title that's anyone at Forbes is going to be writing about, or anyone. Maybe massively OP, which how I feel about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
non-news media site.
It's MMORPG, and the one you just mentioned, I imagine are just gonna keep on complaining and slandering it and doomsaying it. I imagine more legitimate publications like Kotaku or a PC Gamer or something when they're actually publishing articles, that's where people are really going to be looking at it in a larger sense, and potentially other, major tech and entertainment, legitimate companies will be not saying that MMO and Massively aren't legitimate companies, but that there's the certain amount of rapport that they have, I should say, that once we start seeing some of those sites reposting the cool stuff that's going on instead of just sitting there, slinging dirt like we've been seeing the lesser ones doing, then I think that's the part of the media outreach and the media influence that really matters. So, what Massively and MMORPG are saying right now, by and large, doesn't matter. It's just opinions. It's the equivalent of someone shouting into a cave, and maybe some people respond, maybe they don't. It's not really. I don't really think it matters that much
their
right
reach,
now.
and I don't think their reach is really as big as what they want people to think it is. Either of them. I'd say MMORPG's reach is probably bigger than Massively, but I don't know. My short periods of time on both, it's the same couple of hundred posters that either everyone joins in on a bandwagon or everyone joins in on saying this game's going to be terrible. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think they matter, basically. I could go down that. We've already talked about that on the show before. Don't need to go down that rabbit hole again. I will just say one site wouldn't need to create 2 or 3 other more sites if their original site was actually doing the traffic that it needed to be doing. So
I was trying to see what we were getting with EQ Next, but maybe some of that was mitigated by getting landmark snippets to, just some, and not because we don't think that they're working on anything. Just it's easier to maintain interest if we got clips of the world, not just screenshots, but actually some
video clips of what's going on, how the game is looking, people walking around and doing stuff. Yeah, that's fair. But, bait and switch and decalling that was disappointing to figure out. No, we actually have only been working on one game and have pre-production for the other one, and the first one's not actually coming together, and all of our third-party things we were hoping to happen totally didn't happen, haven't been utilized properly. Yeah, again, not going to go down that road.
Yeah. Landmark is EverQuest Next. Was. No longer is. And these are all demos, not actually gameplay. Well, we are after 9 o'clock. So, I think we will most likely, I think most of y'all watching us watch us all the time, so we alternate shows typically every other week between this and our Ashes of Creation show. But I think we plan, assuming everything goes as it's supposed to actually doing this show again next week. Probably more often than the other, just as we kind of work through this exciting period of time. This is where the fun really starts, and hopefully the craziness begins. So,
well, craziness. I'm not too sure about the fun, but it should be crazy.
Crazy.
It's fun when you get to watch everyone else have meltdowns and it does not involve you. So, I will call that fun. All right. So, that being said, I guess everyone have a good weekend. We will be back in a week and hopefully have some fun stuff to talk about. Thanks for joining us. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, anything that comes up, I guess before we go, especially for me and I think for the rest of us, this will be short. Certainly if you see anything, I know I am not everywhere. There's probably a dozen different Discord channels I should be in that I'm not. So certainly if y'all find things that you think we might think is interesting or want to talk about, let us know here, Twitter, wherever. send us a message if something's going on. I like this part. So, yeah. So that being said, everyone have a good weekend. We will see you in a week.
See you.
Ciao.
Have a good one.